Spyro 2 is better than Spyro 3. Yeah, I said it, and I know that's gonna piss off a lot of people. But hey, before you torch me in the comments, hear me out. Because I got reasons, and a few of them might surprise you. But first, you gotta understand where I'm coming from. I barely caught the tail end of the 90s, but thanks to my older brother Dylan, I got a full crash course. He was like a one-man blockbuster, making sure I was caught up on everything from cartoons, anime, and video games.
Yeah, whatever.
If it was loud, weird, and made in the late 80s or early 90s, I probably absorbed it through cultural osmosis before I could read. Our parents already had a Super Nintendo, and I played the absolute crap out of Super Mario World and a little hidden gem called Pocky and Rocky. Seriously, if you haven't seen this game, check it out. It is awesome. Then came Christmas of 1999, and I unpacked my very first Nintendo 64. And my whole world turned into Pokemon Stadium 2, Mario Kart 64, Super Smash Bros, and you guessed it, GoldenEye 64. By the way, shout out to Sean here because I've had this one since early 2000s and it still functions and we played the absolute crap out of it. So shout out to Sean. If you're out there, leave a comment, bro. But the real game changer came when my dad bought a PlayStation 1, mostly for himself, to play like Resident Evil 1 and Dino Crisis. And I was watching, which is great because nothing says healthy child development like seeing zombies chew people in half right before bedtime. I remember my dad having a notebook, writing down where he found an item, what rooms he's been in, what save room should he use. It was back in those days where you didn't have a guidebook and the game didn't have a system to mark everything like on a nice fancy map we have these days. I remember that so vividly. But eventually, my parents did buy me 2 games, Crash Bandicoot 2, which unfortunately I don't have anymore, and Spyro the Dragon 2 Ripto's Rage.
Now that's my idea of fun.
And by the way, I still have the cheat codes that I printed off years ago. Look at this here. Yeah, you could change Spyro to skinny, fat,
Black and Joe.
Look at when this was printed. November 9th, 2008. Bro, the internet was just coming up. YouTube's only been out like a year. Crazy. By the way, do you guys remember these like demo discs you could get? Interactive CDs? This is for the PS1. I actually used to store a bunch of these little things in here. This is the PS1. This had like Parappa the Rappa, Armored Core, a couple other games I don't really remember. Oh, and Croc. Now, I used to have Croc, the actual game with the manual, but when you buy a lot of used games, they don't really come with the manual anymore. So my brother, Dylan, actually drew this cover off of the internet, and he even like on the inside put like the controls for game. Also, more cheat codes, except this isn't printing, this is all wrote on. But yeah, this game was the beginning of my lifelong affair with flamin' sheep and ridiculous voice acting.
I guess he was all bark.
But we'll get into that. Come with me as we talk about Spyro 2. But first, just a small little recap about my history playing these games. Spyro 2 felt alive in a way that most games didn't back then. Every level had its own intro and outro cutscenes. You weren't just running around random geometry. You were walking into little mini worlds with their own problems and personalities. Take Zephyr for an example. Literally slug bird warfare. Idle Springs, sentient totems learning how to roast weenies. These cutscenes weren't just flavor. They gave you a reason to care about the level you were in. Spyro 1 didn't really do this, and Spyro 3 just dropped the ball. Even as a kid, I noticed these short clips made every stage feel like a Saturday morning cartoon. And I was totally fine with that. Spyro 2 had charm, character, and most importantly, a badass purple dragon with attitude. Name one modern game that does this. I'll wait. I'm still waiting. Mainly because I want that watch time, baby. I didn't actually play Spyro 1 until I was in my 20s, and it holds up shockingly well. No backtracking, no filler, no random side characters trying to steal the spotlight, just you, Spyro, a bunch of dragons, and a checklist of shiny stuff to grab. It's pure platforming and it respects your time. I like a game that understands you have laundry to do. The Reignited Trilogy made it even better. Gorgeous visuals and a dynamic soundtrack. Toasty actually looks like a scarecrow instead of whatever the hell this thing was. It's the kind of game I go back to when I want to finish something over the weekend and still feel like I accomplished something. But it is missing a bit of that charm that Spyro 2 has. It's not my favorite Spyro, but it is the most replayable. Zero resistance, zero fluff. Pure dragon-fueled serotonin. And then there's Spyro 3, which I didn't play until my adult years. And look, I want to like it. I really do. But it's such a slog. It feels like the game was trying to do everything except let me play Spyro. Every few minutes, it's like, hey, here's Sheila the kangaroo. Hey, here's Sergeant Bird with the worst flight controls ever. Hey, here's Bentley, a Yeti with a club, because kids just love clubs. I came for Spyro 3 for Spyro, not for the worst team up since the Thunderbolts. Seriously, that movie was ass. Well, Century was kind of dope. And worst of all, they removed all the level intros. Now it's just, hey, welcome to the level, go get some eggs. Look, nostalgia's a hell of a drug, okay? I get it. If you grew up playing Spyro 3, it's gonna be your favorite. I grew up playing Spyro 2, it's my favorite. But one thing I will argue, and I said earlier in the video, is I played both games later in my life, actually in my college years, and they're on the channel as well. I can go back and play Spyro 1 and play it all the way through, one sitting, no problem. But when I jump into Spyro 3, after about an hour and a half, when I start having to play as like Sheila the kangaroo, the pacing really bogs down. I think the big issue with me is the characters' controls and mechanisms are kind of half-baked, and because of that, they're not that fun to play as. And when you've been playing as Spyro, who has very smooth platforming controls, it's the reason why people really like the games, because it was a very polished PS1 game. But when you force me to play all these other characters I really don't want to play as, and I have to do it almost in every level, it just feels like a chore. And as soon as a game feels like a chore, I lose interest immediately. It's honestly the reason why I lose interest in playing RPGs. They just all feel like a grind that I don't have time for. That was until Skyrim came out, and that is a whole different video. Now, I know some people love to dunk on Spyro 2 for the backtracking. Yes, you get new abilities like swimming, climbing, head bash, and yes, you go back to earlier levels to clean them up. But let's calm down, alright? I would argue that Spyro 3 has more backtracking than Spyro 2 does. Now, I also hear that people complain that Spyro 2 has the most tedious minigames and side missions. And again, I would say Spyro 3 has way more than that, especially with all the side characters that no one gives a shit about. The mission that gets the most hate in Spyro 2 is the Alchemist Escort mission. He waddles around with a jar of glowing science juice, and you have to protect him from enemies. He walks like he's doing an obstacle course blindfolded. Yeah, it's weird, and if you screw up, he spills it and you start over. But it's not like once you get done doing it once, you have to do it again a second time, and it's even harder and jankier. Oh wait, you have to do that in Spyro 3, where you have to guide two mice with bombs across two separate mushroom-popping missions. Not once, but twice, and they're back to back. At least with Spyro 2, it only asks you to escort one chemically unstable scientist one time. Spyro 3 makes you do the same basic gimmick twice with less charm. Yes, both games do have tedious side missions, but at least in Spyro 2, you get to play as Spyro for the entirety of the game. Unlike that Agent 9 mission in Fireworks Factory. Alright, hot take here. Fireworks Factory is overrated. Everyone says it's the pinnacle of Spyro platforming. Guys, there's like a million better levels, even in Spyro 1. Maybe it's the pinnacle of Spyro 3. That, maybe I could get behind because there's not a ton to choose from in that game. You know what I'm saying? Holy shit. I'm gonna get absolutely roasted in this video. Oh my god. Spyro 2 is still the best, in my opinion. It's got the humor, it's got the heart, it's got the orb challenges, it's got the level variety, got the cutscenes. It's everything a 3D platformer should be. It's dumb in the right ways, and it's smart enough to know when to get out of its own way. If you grew up with it, you already know. And if you didn't, go play it. And if you're playing the Reignited Trilogy, just imagine Hunter sounding like Pauly Shore from Encino Man. It helps a lot.
Figure we's a little juice.
Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe I'm biased because it hit me at that right exact moment. But every time I hear that Spyro 2 title music, I am 5 years old again. On the carpet, wired off a Mountain Dew, blasting sheep and collecting gems like it's my job. And honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy this content, please let me know. It was fun looking back at a game I truly love and kind of shaped me in my formidable years. And it was fun to include my late brother Dylan. He was very influential on me, and I will never forget that. So let me know in the comments. Do you think I'm right on the money, or do you think I'm a whack job? Do you think all 3 games suck? Hit it up in the comment section. I will be reading all of them.